Hey guys,
Hey, everybody.
how is everybody this week?
Doing good. Happy 4th of July.
Yeah,
Hope you had a
yeah.
good 4th of July.
I
So
Yep, I'm
did.
mine
doing
was kind of
great.
mine's boring. Mine's boring every year because my dog is
Oh,
just freaks out over the fireworks.
yeah,
So I have to give him a little bit of a sedative and hang out.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. My cat
well.
would always hide under the bed.
Yeah.
But
How about you,
Hey.
Kim? Did you do anything specifically? Hey.
hey,
Um,
Jeannie.
yeah. Yeah, we went to my mom's house, me and my family, and my husband set off fireworks this year. They buy a bunch every year, and I don't like being that close to them. But I like going to my mom's, and I really appreciate them buying the fireworks and everything, but it's just a little too close for my comfort. And then I go to
Yeah.
work the next day and I see all the hand injuries and eye
Mm,
injuries, and I'm like, "Ugh." Yeah.
yeah. Well, we went to the little town of Mont Eagle in Tennessee. It's kind of like eastern Tennessee in the mountains. And my friend James is from there, and so he knows where everything is and stuff. And so we watched the parade, and it was so refreshing because I mean, like if you go to watch a parade like in Nashville or even in like the suburb areas, well, we don't even have one as far as I know, like in the suburb area where I live, but there's, anything downtown is ridiculous in downtown Nashville. So it was so refreshing, with all the kids, and
Oh,
they were
Yeah.
throwing candy off candy, but it was 4th of July. But anyway, they threw candy, and some threw like little balls and frisbees and stuff off of the floats and stuff, and it was
that's
just
cool.
so much fun. Yeah, it was a great
Yeah,
day.
that sounds nice. I know every year in our neighborhood, we have a fire department that's really close to where I live. And every year they get their fire truck and they got their flags in their truck and they drive it real slowly all through the neighborhood. And then people just
Mhm.
follow behind and it turns into this neighborhood parade. And all these people on their bikes and walking and it always comes right by my house every year. And I missed it this year, but somebody decided to take a drone video. And
Oh, wow.
so I was able to actually, kind of watch it, and I saw it come down my street afterwards from the drone video.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to follow along again. The dog, he's just, he's not super happy when it comes to crowds or loud noises.
Yeah. Mike,
Okay.
Mike says we have a bacon processing plant in town. They throw packages of bacon from their float. And I
Is
don't
There you
know
this
if
go.
he's
true?
serious or not.
I don't
You
know if
never
you're
know
serious.
with him.
Mike is our jokester, but at the same time, I'm like,
That would be great.
how would he make that up?
There's got to be a
It could
bacon
happen.
capital of the world somewhere.
Very true. All right.
He says
Oh,
he's
he's
serious.
Serious.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Well, we may have to hit that town someday.
Yeah. I
Right.
know where that's at.
Catch some bacon. That's awesome.
Well, I worked all day, so thus us having this 3 hours later than normal. So here we are though.
Yep. We
So
are here. The
Explains
show
why
goes on.
yeah,
you're still in your scrubs, huh?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So,
I chose to grab something to eat rather than change.
I don't blame you.
And
yeah. And
sometimes I
Charlie
just
can't
don't
make
feel
it.
like changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Iowa is the bacon capital. Awesome.
Oh, cool.
Love it. Love it.
All right, guys, let's get into it.
All right.
All right, so we started at chapter or mistake number 9.
Yes.
Exercising to burn calories. And basically, Lynn, you want to get into it? I've started it. I started every time I feel like.
Oh yeah. Sure, sure. So I mean I can read the first little page here and so we can get the intro. It says as mammals, if caloric intake is chronically low, like during a diet, or output is chronically high, like from exercise, our body naturally seeks homeostasis using a combination of hormones or an adjustment to our metabolic rate. And we learned that in the previous books.
Yeah.
So we are able to function on fewer calories per day because we're storing more and burning less and attempting to access more calories by elevating our hunger hormones. This is why exercising to burn calories is just as ineffective an approach to getting fit as trying to eat less. So, the New England Journal of Medicine published research in 2011 on the long lasting adverse physiological effects of a caloric deficit. The reason this research is mentioned here and not in the calorie restriction section is because the participants consumed only 550 calories per day. This is characteristic of many extreme weight loss protocols that combine inadequate input, food, with excessive output, exercise. Participants were middle-aged, obese men and women that consumed only a special shake and 2 cups of low-starch vegetables for 10 weeks.
Ew.
Ugh.
I know. Can you imagine?
A
Gross.
special shake.
Man,
It's
you'd
just
be
special steak, right?
starving though.
It is a special
Ugh.
shake.
As
Be miserable.
expected, the men and women lost a lot of weight. However, for the next 42 weeks, they gained nearly half the weight back on a maintenance plan that was still restricted. That's the interesting part, still restricting. More importantly, their hormone levels remained damaged for an entire year.
Wow.
So their leptin decreased, and then their hunger hormone, ghrelin, increased. Their metabolism slowed, and fat storage was elevated and remained elevated. So he said this is only after 10 weeks of dieting. Imagine the impact from a lifetime of deficits. So that's how he starts the chapter.
Can I just say that I remember ghrelin by being a little gremlin, the hunger hormone, like
That's what I think every time I hear it.
or the growl, like your stomach growls.
True.
Oh, there you go, growling.
Yeah, growling. There we go. So so he basically introduced some science showing that calorie deficits are not the way to lose weight, which we already knew. But unfortunately, people are still thinking that intense exercise is the way to lose weight and be healthy. And he definitely differentiates here between, it's not just about weight loss. He's going to talk about how intense exercise actually damages your health. Even if you don't lose any weight, and that's why some of the things in the chapter were very interesting, because I didn't really understand how intense workout could actually cause such significant damage.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I knew it did to your knees, for example, like the long distance runners and marathoners, I'd always heard that. And I had also heard that the person who invented jogging died at a young age. And I remember being surprised by that because jogging, I remember, like in the 80s, when that first became a real thing and people started, getting the sweatbands and all the stuff and jogging was the thing to do. But I had no idea that all those chemical changes happened in your body that caused so much internal damage like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I didn't know either. Like you, I knew it was the risks were, stress fractures, joint issues, muscle issues, torn tendons and stuff like that. I just didn't realize the effect on your organs. Which was
I was wanting to read this little section here. With steady state aerobic training, it's not so easy because our body adapts to the stimulus and it requires faster speeds or longer distances to experience the benefits that come with adaptation. As we're about to discuss, these ever increasing distances and intensities initiate higher levels of damaging stress hormones. When our body is under stress, the hormone cortisol, which we've heard about in the past, of course, helps
Mm-hmm.
increase the concentration of glucose in our blood, so there's readily available energy for our muscles to utilize. Cortisol secretion is favorable response when released infrequently and for short periods of time, as it helps the body deal with stress. However, when the body is exposed to chronic and consistently elevated cortisol for extended periods, it can experience unfortunate long-term consequences like cognitive decline, altered immune function, poor digestion, and increased fat storage. I feel like I have all those.
Yeah. Is it from intense exercise?
I think it's from elevated cortisol for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Oh,
other
because
stressors can cause that, like,
mhm.
mental stressors and
Right.
just
Yeah.
having 4 kids that you're constantly
Yeah.
worried about and trying to work full-time job and like rushing around everywhere. And, you get that like
Yeah.
middle-aged woman cortisol increase. And then
Right.
along with the decrease in estrogen, then, the cortisol also goes up around then.
Yeah. So he talks about the brief moments of stress being fine. It's the prolonged chronic, like he talked about our hunter-gatherer ancestors, they'd experience stress for a brief moment. They'd get that spike in cortisol so that they could, run away from large animals or whatever danger. It was the whole fight or flight thing, and we know that prolonged sustained high stress creates the prolonged high cortisol. um,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that endurance athletes were experiencing this. I hear people who do like a lot of running and how great they feel.
Yeah, like they
And
get that
so
runner's high and they're, like if
right,
you do it long enough,
It's
you
probably
get,
that elevated blood sugar.
well, it could be.
I don't know, maybe.
No, it's
Maybe.
more than that, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
the runners are going
But
to come out of the woodwork right now with their claws out because they,
well,
people who run are like hardcore about it.
well, and in all fairness, I think I did copy and take these, my usual poor quality photos of the of the graphs. I think some of the graphs may appease some of the runners because he does make a differentiation between how intense
Mm-hmm.
and how long you do workout and how far you run. And so hopefully it's going to be maybe a little bit of comfort to those who like to jog a little bit and but aren't into the super like super endurance athlete type exercise. So fingers crossed, hopefully hopefully not too many people will be too upset.
We
But
didn't
if you
write the
wanted
book.
to go, yeah, sorry, read and write the book, we're reading it. But if you
Right.
want, you can go to the slides because we're coming on the first couple of slides. So we could potentially take a look. I tried to annotate these a little bit because they're hard to read as far as what's on them. But the first one is just kind of a real basic um, result. There was this, I guess, he said that long distance endurance training results in an abundant release of cortisol, which we've explained. He said with research, so the research was on 304 endurance athletes. So they had a control group of 70 people. And the 70 people, he doesn't say that they weren't athletes at all. He just said they're non-endurance athletes.
Mm.
So it must be that I don't think they're sedentary. He just said they're not non-endurance athletes. So he said that the cortisol, so the first graph shows the black is the endurance athletes, and this is measuring their cortisol rates. And then the white is the control. So he said there's a 42% higher level of cortisol in the endurance athletes versus the non-endurance athletes. And then the second graph shows the level of like activity that you do. So like going from left to right, like the white is still the control group. And I guess it broke down of these other, must be of the 304, they broke down what type of exercise they did. So from left to right, it goes control group and then cycling, and then 10-kilometer running, half marathons, triathlons, and then marathons. So the last bar is 114 of the endurance athletes were running marathons. And so he said the intensity of the exercise actually makes a difference with how much cortisol your body is producing. So obviously the marathon athletes are producing significantly more than the other athletes, and all the athletes are producing more than the non-endurance athletes.
Yeah. So the next to the last one, if you're going from left to right, that's triathlon, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of surprised that triathlon has less cortisol than the marathon, because triathlon, they're doing like multiple things. That, it's combined with running, with cycling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe it's because
So
of the
I wonder
cycling, because the cycling was less, a little bit less.
a
So
little,
maybe that
yeah.
brought it down a little bit. Yeah, they're doing running, cycling,
Could
and
be.
swimming.
Yeah, yeah.
I think swimming,
Kind of
he talks
surprising.
about swimming later, is that one's also pretty high level intensity as well. So it might be the cycling that brings the triathletes down just a little bit
Hmm.
as opposed to straight running.
I was
So
surprised about what he said about swimmers too, really, um, because that to me would seem to be, while it does produce less
it's a
cortisol, I guess, than the
duathlon.
marathon. But then when he was talking about the effects on the swimmers, was like, wow, because it was always understood that that was a less harsh. I mean, you have to be very fit to do it, but it's just,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's just, maybe I'm not making
Yeah.
sense,
Well,
but it,
yeah, I know. He did. Well, swimming takes a lot out of you, and
mhm,
it is considered, an endurance sport. One of my best friends growing up was a distance swimmer, and I know that she had female hormone disruption until she,
yeah,
quit swimming. Yeah. So, anyways, so then he starts talking about chronic cardio equals testosterone and he mentioned and muscle loss, but it doesn't mean testosterone leads to muscle loss. But he talked about when cortisol is secreted, testosterone is inhibited,
I
and
didn't realize that either.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't realize that one either.
I didn't
Um,
either.
yeah,
But it
so
makes sense though,
it does. Yeah, it does. They say stress affects your fertility, which is true. It does affect, if you think about it, if it affects female
Yeah,
hormones, why wouldn't it affect the male
Mhm.
hormones?
that's
But
true.
yeah. So one thing I didn't know, he said cortisol is catabolic. So high cortisol causes muscle loss, and testosterone is anabolic, which causes muscle gain. So a negative testosterone to cortisol ratio promotes muscle loss. So I put the next slide is the next graph that he gave. So this was kind of confusing. So I tried my best to annotate it. And so this has to do with there was a study that was done over 16 weeks where they had people do endurance training for 3 to 4 sessions per week. And I guess afterwards they showed the change in their muscle fibers. So I guess type 1 muscle fibers, which is the far left column, are slow twitch muscle fibers that favor higher cortisol. And so that equates to promotes muscle loss. And the type 2, which is the middle and this last column, are the fast twitch muscle fibers, which favor higher testosterone and muscle gain. And so my understanding, you guys correct me if my understanding is wrong here, but my understanding of this chart was that this is like after the endurance training for 16 weeks, the people ended up having an increase in their slow twitch fibers, which promotes muscle loss, and a decrease in their fast twitch fibers, which promotes muscle gain. Are you guys reading that the same?
That's how I interpret it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, you're not going to gain muscle if you're doing, maybe that's why so many of these runners are so lean.
Well, a lot of them are lean, but then there's also a lot of them, like I've seen like on various interviews and stuff, like on Dave's channel, for example, where there'll be people who talked about being runners, but they actually gained weight in spite of that.
Like fat?
Well, yes, fat. So basically they're losing muscle, but they still retain the fat.
I thought it said something about something similar to that in here.
I think it did, actually.
I just can't remember where it was at.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember.
It does say high intensity sprints produce better fat loss results and equal performance improvements compared to moderate intensity jogging with 1/18 of the time commitment.
That's the second. That's the next slide is that chart where he shows that. If you want to go over there, yeah, the small time commitment of the sprinting is really appealing. So distance
I'm just trying
runner,
to find a place that I could sprint and not look like a crazy person.
I know. I've been wondering the same thing myself. I don't think it's possible. We have a regional park.
Lena, I did have an idea. So at the hospital, when there's a code, everybody takes off running, right? So I just thought I could just pretend like we've got this really long haul at work that goes from like the old hospital to the new hospital. And I'm like, I could just like pretend like I could just go to work and do it every day and just be like, yeah, sorry guys.
Yeah, sorry guys, code.
Gotta go practicing for a code or
well, what I do
they wouldn't know that there wasn't a code because we don't call them overhead.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So you get a page if you're on the code team, but like nobody would know that I'm not actually going to a code.
Right. Right.
Yeah, of course.
What I do, how I incorporate it is like on my morning walks, like when I come to a street, I'll just like run across the street, which one of them you kind of have to do because there's a hill and you don't want a car to come up the hill and whack you, so I'll fit it in kind of that way. So I don't know. I'm up early and not too many people see me. And I guess if they do, oh well.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know what a sprint would look like. I think that for me, a sprint would I'm at the point like right now where I would still probably injure myself if I tried to sprint. I get concerned. So for me, when I want to do something high intensity, I will actually get on my rebounder and actually like get in the air. Because usually I just bounce and I don't really catch air, but I'll actually like do some bounces up in the air. And to me, that actually really, that's it. That's high intense. It gets my heart rate going. And I know, Kim, you're probably like, yeah, right.
No, I believe you.
Miss Gymnast.
I just, it's like the trampoline was always my thing, So
yeah,
I can still do the flips, but it's just muscle memory,
Yeah, exactly. So, but so non-athletes, I guess the thing that was interesting about this is that the distance runners have a worse type 1 to type 2 muscle fiber ratio than even non-athletes. So that's me. I'm a non-athlete. Yeah. So that was really interesting. Like it's a lot more even, obviously it's very even with non-athletes, but it swings in the better direction with sprinting. That's why I took away from this that the sprinting is the preferred way to exercise. If you're going to try to do it, is to get some exercises to do the sprinting.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. All right. So let me see. So that was actually the last slide of this chapter.
Yeah, and so basically he's just saying that cardio is inefficient. You know, that's like the heading there. And
I was surprised by this quote by Dr. James O'Keefe. He said, if we went out for a run right now and you ran hard, by 60 minutes, something starts happening. The free radicals blossom and it starts burning the heart. It starts searing and inflaming the inside of your coronary arteries.
Oh, yeah. I was shocked at that too.
I was too.
I'm like, is that for real?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know who Dr. James O'Keefe is, but.
Well, he does. The book has a lot of references in the back. A big chunk of it's references. So
okay, so I'm going to have to be really curious here and look it up and see.
Oh, if any of you cardiologist.
Yeah, if any of you here know who he is.
He's the author of the Complete Guide to EKGs. Or ECGs, which is also EKGs.
Huh. Okay, so he must be a cardiologist.
Yeah, it said he was.
Wow.
Or he is. I don't know if he's still alive, but. Huh.
Okay, there's a bunch of there's more than one James O'Keefe. So, okay, the Complete Guide to EEG. So he's James H. O'Keefe Jr. Because there are other James O'Keefe that wrote some other types of books. So interesting. Okay.
So I mean, I just assumed since he's talking about heart stuff that it was the same one, but
I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine probably. So let me see. I'm looking at his author page. Okay, so he's written several ECG books. Sorry, not EEG. The Complete Guide to ECGs, the ECG Criteria book,
also known as EKG. just for the layman.
Oh, he's written a book called Diabetes Essential. So it'd be interesting to see if he has the right idea about diabetes. Yeah. And he has that's not him. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, apparently he obviously he knows something about ECGs. So, okay. Mike says James O'Keefe, I know, is the political independent press. No, this is not the same one.
Yeah. I thought that initially when I saw that name, I was like, what?
Yeah. It's a familiar name. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I've never heard of it. All right.
Yeah.
Mistake so number 10.
Number 10. Awesome. All right. You guys, one of you can take that one.
Carrie, you want to?
Sure. I'll read.
Yeah, go ahead.
Doing cardio to stay healthy. Ask any rehabilitation specialist, physio, chiro, massage therapist, and they'll tell you how detrimental chronic repetitive movements can be on muscles, joints, bones, ligaments, and tendons. At first glance, moderate intensity endurance exercise may seem like it's easier on the body than weight training or interval training, but it's not. The same consistent impact for hours at a time causes hip pain, knee pain, or ankle pain, and overall inflammation. Even worse is that individuals doing this as a weight loss strategy are generally putting higher loads on their ligaments and joints. Exercising at a slow pace for a long time is extremely unnatural. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors would probably laugh watching us run, bike, or swim for hours to burn calories. And I've actually had that thought before, even before I got into this realm. I'm just like, people have not always done this. This doesn't even make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how unusual would a gym look? Like if they could just be a fly on the wall in a gym and see people running on the treadmill and like doing a Stairmaster. And
it's like, why are they doing that? There's nothing chasing them.
Well, it's funny because I am very close for over 20 years. I've been communicating with this pastor in Africa and Kenya. And we started communicating way back when it was just email and before the internet. It was probably early to mid 2000s. And I remember explaining to him the whole concept of gyms here and the way people exercise. And I told him people even buy like special clothing
Yes.
to go, and he was mind blown. Like
I
seriously,
imagine.
he can't even imagine, because he was telling me about, like, he didn't have a car at that time. He didn't have a car. He didn't have a bike. He had to walk everywhere. So he couldn't imagine like going someplace specifically. And I told him they don't just go out and walk, they get on machines. He couldn't even comprehend. It was pretty funny.
Actually, I mean, even like people in the early 1900s would probably be puzzled. Like people just in the United States, they would be like, "What are these people doing?"
Excuse
Right.
me.
You know?
They would probably say, they need to do some more work. Like
Yeah.
why are they pretending to do
Probably.
work? Just get out on the farm and work.
Yeah, just go do something.
Get your phone out of get your face out of your phone.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that's part of the problem, is that we have so many things to distract us. And I mean, we don't spend nearly as much time outside and outdoors as our parents did, their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting that he talks about, he even somewhere here, he talks about kids, like watching little kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that they don't do anything sustained, right?
Yeah.
They do a little bit of slow, and then they have like these quick bursts, and then recover, and then quick bursts and recover. And he said it's completely oh yeah, this is the next page. He says, when kids are playing outside at the park, they unknowingly move in short bursts followed by ample recovery. We know this because researchers studied this exact scenario and determined that children naturally exercise in intervals as opposed to moving at a consistent speed. I thought that was interesting.
Well, when you think about if you're doing something that you really love, like I used to dance. I used to go dancing every like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. And I like skating. And when you go do things like that, you go and you exercise for a while. You're out there just actively doing it, and you get kind of out of breath, and then you go sit down for a while and have a drink or whatever. But
Right.
yeah, so it's just not natural to keep that sustained energy output and having your heart rate up like that sustained for that long.
Right.
I mean, if when we're in the medical setting, we we're going to freak out if somebody's heart rate is that high for that long, because your heart can only really keep up for so long with that high of a demand. So I don't know why I've never applied that to exercise.
Oh, that's a good
Well, I
point.
mean, when you think about it, anything where you have to do high endurance for a long period of time is really, it takes its toll on you for sure. I mean, even like talking about the medical field, just doing CPR, what do they have us do? They have us rotate chest compressions, right?
Every 3 minutes we have to form a line, and we have to rotate out every 3 minutes because it's hard work,
Yeah.
And they want it to be
They
effective.
They don't want us having a heart attack while we're trying to save someone else's life.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow.
All right. So we got a lot of comments. Do we need to catch up on comments?
Are you not able to post comments? I thought you were.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Only the person who created the stream.
But where I made you a moderator or something, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I can't.
Well, all right. What comment do you want me to post?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to keep up on them. Let me see. I think we got, let's see. Coach Kevin. Okay, Susan says Coach Kevin. I don't know who Coach Kevin is. Says to do heavy weights 3 times a week. So
I've heard that doing heavy weights, lifting heavy weights, or like lifting like tires. You know how people do the tire. I've heard that's good.
Oh,
My
like the boot
daughter
camp,
does
right?
that. Yeah.
Okay, so
Like boot
who is
camp.
Coach Kevin? I don't
Oh.
know who Coach Kevin is. So let us know, Susan. Does this I'm gonna look him up. Oh, he has an Instagram page. Let's see.
Is that?
Yep.
Oh no, that's somebody else. I was thinking out loud there.
Okay, so he has an Instagram page called the Coach Kevin, and okay, we'll have to check him out. Wow, he
Okay,
looks
I
very
do
fit.
like this comment.
Yeah,
We're
We're
growing,
growling,
baby.
baby.
that's right.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then his other
No.
comment about Back to the Future. It's
Yeah.
below Susan's about Coach Kevin.
Oh, it's way down here. Let's see. Sorry, I just assume people are kind of chatting amongst themselves, and then I get to looking at the book so I can, you know.
Right.
I just want to make sure we don't miss any comments that we need to
I
check
don't
out.
know where you're talking about. What is it? Oh, here we
Well,
go.
he just says, remember Back to the Future when they were in the 1800s telling everyone at the bar that in the future people run for fun. Right. I remember that.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And they
That
were
was
like,
funny. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So Rita, oh, happy 4th of July. And I remember Rita, you're from India, correct?
yes.
Yes.
And
I
she's been
remember
carnivore
Rita.
for a long time.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
she's
absolutely.
so hi Rita. I know you're at the beginning of the stream right now, but as soon as you get to this part, hi.
Yeah.
She said,
Yeah.
happy belated 4th of July. You guys should experience our 5-day Diwali. I hope I pronounced that right. Fireworks. We call them crackers. I used to love the crackers in my childhood youth. Now, nah. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 days. Oh my word.
Oh, that's a
I'm
lot.
hoping it's just at night. But still, that's a lot. Years ago, my husband and I, we went up to Vancouver, British Columbia, and in the bay, right where Vancouver is, like between regular Vancouver and North Vancouver, there's this bay, and it's really beautiful. But they had this international fireworks competition, and they had all of these big barges out in the middle of the bay.
Oh, wow.
And different countries. It was international. So each barge was a different country. And the displays were unbelievable. I mean,
Wow.
it wasn't just like boom pow, all these pretty, it was like waterfall over the barge, interesting, just stuff you would never imagine they could do with fireworks. It was insane.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's what I like.
something-
I like fireworks at a distance. I don't want people lighting them, 50 feet from me. It doesn't feel right.
Right.
Same.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hey, Arlene.
Hey,
Well,
Arlene.
hey, Arlene. Good to see you.
And there
Awesome.
we have Sue. Oh, we already showed that comment, but I
I see. I knew that name sounded familiar. Susan said who Coach Kevin is. He's a coach in Dr. Barry's group, and I should have known that because I'm in the group.
So is it not the same Coach Kevin? Is it a different Coach Kevin than the one that I found on Instagram, or is it the same one?
It could be the same one. I don't know. He probably does have an Instagram. I would say he probably does. I've just known him from
maybe that's why
there's
the Coach Kevin. Maybe there's more than one. I mean, it's not like Kevin's an uncommon name. So.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of Coach Kevins.
Yeah.
Probably. Yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. So, so you want to get into the part where he talks about free radicals?
Yeah, because that's really interesting. He says that when we hear the word cardio, most of us think of jogging, biking, swimming, or anything that gets your blood pumping at a reasonable rate. As already illustrated, these activities produce negative consequences in body composition by supporting muscle damage as opposed to growth. And fat storage, that's the part where, I was just a little ahead of ourselves. Fat storage as opposed to removal. When it comes to your long-term health, less muscle and more fat is obviously not favorable. However, the biggest issue with moderate to high intensity aerobic exercise is that it results in an overabundance of free radicals. And he says to think of it like inflammation. Acute inflammation is necessary so our bodies can go to work on fixing whatever issue we're encountering. But when this response is chronic and out of balance with our anti-inflammatory levels, there's a problem. So basically, there's damage being caused, and so there's stuff happening then to try to fix the damage, and it's causing that inflammation then. So then he talks about similarly, acute and infrequent free radical production is necessary for adequate cell function, like facilitating energy production in mitochondria. But if free radical accumulation is chronic and out of balance with antioxidant levels, there's a problem.
Yeah.
I just did not realize to what extent that it was really
so to me,
bad.
the key there is acute and infrequent free radical production is necessary. Kind of like where he was talking about your quick, infrequent cortisol spikes for part of your fight or flight. That's fine, and actually that's good. It serves you. So it sounds like he's saying the same thing with the free radical production. If it's kind of a quick spike and it's infrequent, it actually serves you. It helps your cells function, facilitating energy production in the mitochondria. But when you have the chronic sustained level of free radical production, your body can't produce you don't have enough antioxidants to keep up with it. And then it ends up causing damage.
And then he talks about antioxidants, and he's saying that a lot of people, say that this type of exercise is good for you because of the antioxidants. But what happens is there's problems similar to cortisol, that free radical production is extremely high. Let's see, where did I lost my train of thought. But anyway, so he says supposedly this promotes higher antioxidant levels to deal with the amounts. So a lot of people say that this type of exercise is good because of the antioxidants, but in reality, because there's so many free radicals of the elevated free radical production, that's counterintuitive.
Right.
In other words, it doesn't cancels it out.
I accidentally in this picture, cut off the x-axis, but it's isometric force on the x-axis. So this model here was developed in 1992, and basically it's kind of hard. It was kind of hard to understand a little bit for me, but basically it says that their free radical production is necessary at low levels to preserve healthy muscle performance. So this is talking about muscle performance. So the isometric force of your muscles, your muscle's ability to, I guess, exert force, it increases. This is, I guess, the y-axis is the force and the x-axis is the free radicals. But at some point it gets to a peak, and then your muscle's ability to perform actually decreases. And so she says during strenuous exercise, free radicals are generated faster than any buffering agent can handle, and this impairs performance and output. So your performance is improved for a while, but then it ends up having a negative effect, and your muscles are unable to exert the force. So, yeah. But, okay. And then he talks about cardio producing acidic pH, which we know about lactic acid. I mean, we've been And that's one of the things I did learn about early on was lactic acid. It's like I always assume that, well, when you're feeling it, you've got lactic acid buildup. One of the interesting things he talked about, which is like we had talked about before, the body pH, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how what you eat doesn't change the pH in your blood. It just changes the pH in your urine. But I thought it was interesting that what he said, it's different with exercise. He said, our diet cannot alter the pH of blood while our exercise habits can, especially during exercise. It's beyond a particular intensity or duration. So that I thought that was interesting that the
Yeah.
muscle, yeah, the lactic acid from the muscles from the intense exercise can actually change the pH of your blood and put you in a more acidotic state. And he said after running for a few minutes drops our usual pH of 7.4 to 7.0. Continuing or repeating the same activity can lower it to 6.8, which is considered the lowest tolerable survival pH. Which can, and the arterial pH disturbance alone has been associated with life-threatening rhythmic disturbances of the heart. So
And
that
then
was
he talks
interesting.
about cancer again. He says, as we discussed earlier, many mistakenly think cancer can only grow in an acidic environment, and they attempt to blame food for that, but conveniently forget the 2-hour run they had that same morning. And so that's a good point. And he says that put them in a more harmful state of acidosis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so there again, he's talking about how the diet can't alter the pH state of blood while our exercise habits can. And then he says down below that the lactate buildup not only adds to the stress on our cells, but arterial pH disturbances alone has been associated with life-threatening rhythmic disturbances of the heart.
Yeah.
Yep.
So interesting.
Wow.
All right. Okay. So he talks to you about rest now. Right. I didn't know this. He said cardio can cause respiratory. I knew about reproductive
Yeah, I was
issues.
kind of shocked at
Mm.
this.
Yeah, me
Yeah, I
too.
was too. Yeah, I was too. And I do think I have a slide on this one too. But he said that endurance athletes are at higher risk of developing upper respiratory tract infections. So obviously, if you're sedentary, actually sedentary, you have less risk than if you're a very high intensity athlete.
Yes.
But
All right.
but your
Finally.
lowest level,
Honestly, like I wouldn't consider myself sedentary. I pretty much
Right. Oh,
do a
not
lot
either.
of walking, you know.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're on your feet at work and everything. So I'm
You know, the
probably
most
more sedentary. Yeah.
one of the most beneficial things I try to do on a daily basis is and I do this naturally, whether, you know, it be at home doing whatever or at work, you know, emptying a Foley catheter, is I try to squat down and just like maintain a squatting position for a long period of time. And sometimes I'll even do like a little duck walk. And I think
Hey.
it's very good for my mobility, you know, to keep my balance and keep me
Yeah.
being able to do that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's just, there's a whole lose it or use it or lose it
Yeah.
thing, right? Yeah. I know. Have you seen the people who would be like working in fields or gardens and stuff, especially in Asia, that they spend so much time squatting and that's a
Yeah.
very natural position for them?
Uh-huh.
And they could work like that all day.
I
I'd probably cut off the circulation in my lower extremities if I tried to do that.
I actually saw, I can't remember what it was on, but I've seen like several things where they say, you know, this is a good indicator of overall health. And one of them was being able to get down and then get back up without using your hands. And then the other one was to be able to, squat down like that. And I can't remember what the details were on it, but it was just basically they were saying that if you can maintain a squatting position, for a while, it was a good indicator of, it said something good about your health, basically. I mean,
Okay. Well, then I'm in trouble because I definitely am not at the point yet where I can do that.
well, you will be
I've
one day, Lynn.
That's
You will
right.
be
okay.
one day.
I topple. Yeah, that type of squatting. Oh yeah, I topple over. I can't do it.
Was it
But
Dr.
then again,
Berry always says currently,
Yeah.
currently, but then
currently.
don't practice either.
You
Like,
may topple over or you may not, as Dr. Berry would say.
Yeah, yeah.
You know
well,
what
those
may
are
means?
the
It means
two choices.
may
Those are
not.
the two choices, you know.
May means may not.
Yeah, he loves to say that. It's funny.
I think in my case, may has a much stronger probability than may not.
Listen,
But
you may be able to do backflips on a trampoline. Who
I
knows?
may,
Have you
I
tried
may.
it? Have you
I have
tried it?
not
That's all I
done.
want to know.
No, I have not tried it.
I
No,
have not
no.
either.
But with that said, I could probably try squats and hold on to something and see if I could
That's
do
right.
it without falling over. You know,
Susan
I
says
wobble like a weevil.
wobbles like a weevil.
There you go.
But
That's
but
me
do you
too.
fall down, Susan?
Yeah, if you don't fall down, then that's good.
Weevils wobble, but they don't fall down.
That's right.
So can you get up from sitting without using your hands?
Me?
Yeah,
Yes.
From sitting or squatting.
sitting.
Yeah.
I can, but I don't think that it's the way that they want you to do it, but I don't know if it matters. Like the original thing I saw on that was basically they were standing with their legs crossed and sitting down in an Indian, well, I don't know if that's politically correct, crisscross
Yeah.
applesauce, whatever. Okay, so they did that and then they like just got back up like that, right? I can't do
Yeah.
that, but I can get
Yeah.
back up. I have to put my legs like a W, behind me and then
Okay.
kind of, but I don't use my hands, so I don't know if that counts.
I have not tried that yet either. So maybe I need to try both of those things.
That's right. You
and
don't know
see if
you
I can.
can't until do or do not, Lynn.
That's right. Well, last time, early on when I was setting some goals, some non-scale goals, one of my goals was to be able to get myself up off the ground without using like a chair or having to crawl to the couch for assistance. And so I accomplished that goal, but I do
That's
have to have my
awesome.
hands on the floor. Yeah. And I'm sure I still look like a toddler trying to get up. The butt goes
Well,
up first.
but you know what, Lynn, is like real talk here, okay? If you fall down on the floor, you need to be able to get yourself back up.
Oh,
Period. Like
absolutely.
no hands, who
Absolutely.
cares? Like you
Right.
can get yourself up off the floor, and that is something, because
Mhm.
lots of people fall. We used to laugh at that commercial in the 80s. Help, I've fallen and I can't get up.
I can't get up.
That was so funny when we were younger, but that's real, that's
Mhm.
Well,
there's a reason
and
they
then,
made
and
that
then
commercial.
oh yeah, and then you end up taking, I don't know if you've taken care of people with rhabdomyolysis.
Yes, I have.
That's muscle breakdown where the muscle gets actually into your bloodstream, and it is serious. That's people can fall and they can't get up and they can't get help, and they can be laying there for days, and then
Yeah.
they end up with this muscle breakdown that is life threatening.
And I've heard of people developing rhabdo after intense exercise also.
Oh, okay. So that actually, the muscle loss that he's talking about,
Yeah.
so that sounds like that could happen more quickly if you're exercise intensely enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ties right in.
Yeah,
Arlene
interesting.
says she's been working on standing on one leg longer at a time and also doing little squats because she's 66 and both knees had issues, and so did her ankles. So she's working at it slowly and getting stronger. Yay!
Huzzah, Arlene.
Yes.
Huzzah!
That's right.
We love
Huzzah.
that. And you know what? I've been doing a little bit more of that too, like trying to balance on one leg. I usually do it in the kitchen, just kind of playing around. But I mean, that kind of thing, it's really good to practice, just
Oh
little
yeah.
things like that. They're just little indicators of health, you know,
Yes.
they're
Balance is
indicators
so
of
important.
progress.
That's
Right.
true. Every little bit helps, and you just incrementally get better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. My balance is definitely getting better. I can tell. I was running into walls before, so,
Yeah.
and I could, yeah, trip over nothing.
Well,
And
my balance actually got a little worse because you all may or may not know that I am officially in menopause.
yay.
Oh, joy.
Congrats.
I had one little ovary hanging on for dear life, and it's evidently gave up the ghost. So,
It's like, I'm
Like,
done.
we're
I'm out of
done.
here. Bye, Felicia.
but I have started HRT by patch for the estrogen and like some oral progesterone, and I'm sleeping much better at night. A lot of the symptoms that I've had for like the last 10 years, my husband and I were talking about it yesterday, and he's like, I think that a lot of these symptoms that you have of your mystery illness are actually menopausal and perimenopausal symptoms.
Perimenopause.
Because I have
Interesting.
noticed since I've been on the estrogen and progesterone, um, I just feel like a lot better. And, I may or may not have eaten something that before would cause me, you know, a problem immediately. And I'm starting to think that whether or not the postnasal drip was candida or not, I mean, I didn't have it cultured. I can't say for sure. Um, it's awfully suspicious though. But whatever it was, it has gotten better with the hormones. So
Interesting.
I'm very
Interesting.
happy with
Yeah.
the progress so far.
All right. Huzzah to you too, Nurse Kim.
Even though
All
I'm
right.
like really a weirdo that comes on the internet and is like, guess what, guys? I'm in menopause.
Hey.
I don't care. Like, I really do not care.
But
It's
no, here's the
it's
thing
a
though. What you
normal,
say can help
natural,
other people.
yeah. And it's a normal, natural human thing. And if I have to be embarrassed for one other person out there to be like, hey, maybe my problem might be some menopausal symptoms,
Mhm.
I don't care. I'll do it. you know?
Well, and I think it's also, I mean, how often do we tend to self-diagnose? We
Exactly.
do it all the time,
Yeah, I
Yes,
right?
do. I
we
know.
do.
Yeah. And so you end up going and getting some blood work, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, maybe there's another reason here that hasn't
Yeah.
been considered.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's very tempting to self-diagnose for sure. But
It
it's
is,
good to,
especially when nobody seems to want to help you.
right.
Like you
Yeah.
go to your doctor and they're just like, I mean, for 10 plus years now, I've been begging, can you all test my hormones? Can we, I'm throwing like, what am I throwing at the wall to see if it sticks? I don't know. Spaghetti. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out like, guys, work with me here. And all they want to do is do their little, have you fallen in the last 30 days? No, can we talk about what I'm here for, please?
Right.
Like, seriously.
Right.
I haven't been asked if I've fallen. That's interesting.
Oh, well, then they're breaking the law because they're supposed to be asking you according to, I guess it's a Medicare thing, every single
I don't
visit.
I don't ever get asked if I've fallen, but they always
Really?
do the
Maybe it's a
depression
Kentucky.
Yeah, they do
screening
the depression
The
thing though. Like, do
depression.
you
and
think you have,
abuse
yeah,
Yeah.
and
fall?
Abuse,
abuse.
falls. They're supposed to ask all that every single visit. And I don't know if it's a Medicare thing or like a Kentucky thing or what for the falls, but I mean it
Well,
seems like they just keep adding stuff. And you know that the nurses and the techs and stuff, they're probably so sick of asking all that stuff.
yeah. But it's something that should be asked. I completely agree, especially because it's an indicator that there's if you're falling.
I think it's ridiculous to ask a 20-year-old if they have fallen. I mean, they're going to tell you
Yeah,
if they're
I mean,
going
maybe
around
start
falling.
asking it at a certain age or something.
Yeah.
Like at a certain
Yeah.
point.
Like, I get it,
I mean,
50 plus, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
But,
takes that
I mean,
precious time when you have a 15-month or 15-minute visit. That's my
That
thought.
is true. Yeah.
oh, it's not in the like questionnaire before you even come into the doctor visit. They ask it to
They
you
ask
like
as
when
soon
you're
as you come into the
rooming you.
visit and sit down. Then they
Yeah.
go through all this stuff, and it's like, this is a waste of time.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so he talks too about how excessive cardio leads to heart damage, which was, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. You hear about these endurance athletes having heart attacks and stuff,
Mhm.
but I didn't realize that like he says, it's because of the free radical generation that actually damages the heart.
Hmm.
So let's see. I'll read a little bit. It says, with ultra endurance athletes and cardio kings and queens, the damage is especially detrimental as each workout of increased intensity and duration produces more free radicals and considerable damage. One study from the European Heart Journal looked at marathon runners, triathletes, alpine cyclists, and ultra triathletes who competed in races lasting 3, 5, 8, and 11 hours respectively. Dysfunction in the right ventricle after the race was least in the marathon runners for 3 hours and highest in the ultra triathletes around 11 hours. So it says, though the evidence is still emerging, there's new research that indicates that frequent long-distance endurance training leads to cardiovascular damage and increases biomarkers related to heart disease. And he lists a whole bunch of them here.
Mhm.
So, and then he brings up some examples of some endurance athletes that died young of heart issues. And I think this guy Micah True
Mhm.
is one of the ultra runners featured in the popular book Born to Run, died in 2012 at age 58 of Fadipides cardiomyopathy. I had not heard of that. I know cardiomyopathy. I hadn't heard of this Fadipides, which is in a large heart from a chronic excessive endurance exercise. That's interesting.
Wow.
And then he brought up a couple other people here. And I think this is the guy you were talking about, this Jim Fix.
Mhm.
Was he the one? He was accredited
Yep.
for popularizing jogging, and he's
Yep.
the author of the best-selling book, The Complete Book of Running. He died of a heart attack at age 52.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
I remember when he passed, and I couldn't tell you what year that was. I mean, it's been quite a long time, but I just remember being surprised about that. Because
Yeah.
he would be the one you would expect to live to 100.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to go back to one thing before the heart damage part, which was like bizarre for me. And I don't know if this was something that was strange for you guys too, where he talks about the blood loss. He said the other important consideration for those deciding to partake in long distance running is the increased loss of blood and the iron that goes with it. And I was like, what? I looked this up. I was so curious.
Uh-huh.
And I actually found on PubMed that there are actual studies that show that the endurance exercise causes GI bleeds. There's a higher risk of GI bleeds in people that actually, after these big endurance events, are losing blood from their GI tract.
Hmm.
And because I looked at that and I went, what? How is it that the exercise is causing blood loss?
Yeah.
But apparently it's a thing, which was surprising to me. And so they end up with losing iron because of that. And the research now has identified a clear link between anemia and runners.
Hmm.
And it's because of GI blood loss.
I have never heard of anything like that. That's crazy.
I hadn't either, which is why I had to go look it up. It's like, go
Well,
look it up.
Talking about asthma and allergies being highly prevalent, that was one that surprised me.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
there was a study that tested 42 elite runners. 23 of them had asthma and 31 had asthma-like symptoms. And then there was another study from Finland with 103 athletes. And I'm just
those
like,
are small. Those are small.
they're small, but
studies.
it's still, there's two different studies though, which, and the findings are very similar. So it kind of, it at least gives credence to the hypothesis, whereas, you know, like the old nutrition studies have way
Hey,
less
Carrie,
evidence.
maybe it's sponsored by Frosted Flakes or something, and they want people to just not run and sit home and eat Frosted Flakes.
This is true.
Oh yeah, good.
Have cereal for dinner.
But it definitely makes you think that it might be worthwhile to do, you know, with those studies showing those results, it might be worthwhile to do a larger cohort study and see what you can see what
And of course,
it shows.
this book is kind of old, so there might be some more recent studies now. I mean, well, this book is like what, about 5 or 6 years old, I think. Something like that. Didn't it come out in like what, 2015?
2004, it's 2014.
I was going to say
Oh
14.
wow, okay.
Yeah,
I knew it was kind of old. Yeah.
Yeah, because wasn't it around the same time that the last book that we read, Nina Teichel's book?
Yeah, exactly. So so he also says our exercise method determines where the free radicals are produced. So, and whether it's aerobic or anaerobic exercise, and he says that during aerobic exercise, the energy production takes place inside the mitochondria using oxygen, which we know. But he said that the mitochondria are the biggest producers of free radicals. And skeletal muscle contains the most mitochondria, and muscle represents the largest organ in the body. I thought that skin was the largest organ in the body. I'm not sure. Is muscle even an organ? I don't know. But anyways, he said it's a big
I don't know. I just worked 12 hours.
I know. Kim was like, I'm just brain dead.
Yes. But basically, if you get your mitochondria producing a lot of free radicals, that's where you end up with the damage. And so his whole point is if you do and he says with the consistent movement lasting more than 60 seconds gets you into that anaerobic zone. So that's why he's recommending, you know, keep it the HIIT workouts, you know, where you have this high intensity, short duration. So you never get yourself into that aerobic, you know, production. So
did you guys notice that this guy, like, who passed away, the man credited for popularizing jogging, his name is Jim Fix? I mean, I don't know why that's funny to me. It's JIMFIXX, but I'm seeing like GYMFIX.
Now forevermore, that's how I'm gonna see it.
Yes, I am too. So.
I mean, so I have this thing that I've noticed throughout the years, and maybe it's my weird brain at its best, but I always notice people's names a lot of times they will like tell their career or like foretell their future somehow, and it's called something, and I can't remember what it's called, but like I've actually heard of somebody named, you know, Burning Man who died in a fire. Like I didn't know him; it was on the news.
Oh, interesting.
And like there was. Like there's lots of doctors where, you know, at my hospital, like I've known like 2 or 3 of doctors. And
interesting.
You know, so I always find it fascinating. Or like it'll be like Dr. Love and they're like a, you know,
Gene Simmons
therapist for couples or something, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like it makes you wonder, you know, what came first. Like did
Yeah,
did
the
that make their brain
suggestibility of the
say, "Hey,
name.
yeah."
I used to
Anyway.
Oh
joke
my
that I
goodness.
married a man with the name with Kiss in his last name because I love Kiss so much. I used to
Maybe
joke
you
about that.
did.
And
Maybe.
people that knew me thought that that was really wild that I married somebody with the name Kiss in their last name. So there's yeah, which came first.
Oh.
Oh,
But,
all
oh,
right.
look.
So are we ready to wrap this book up, or do you guys have more
Hold
to
on.
talk about?
Mike's got something good here. He said he had a dentist, Dr. Carey. He was a
Yeah.
dental
That's a good
Carey.
one.
Oh, Mike and I have the same sense of humor.
Oh, and we have another
I think we
comment
all
from
do.
Bruce.
Bruce,
The
you're a proctologist.
proctologist.
I'm telling you.
Oh,
There you go.
Dr. Butts.
You know, if you know what
Is his
came
first
first
name
in that case,
Seymour?
right?
See, now you guys
Seymour.
are going to notice it more and more. You're going to notice this.
I have noticed it before, but but yeah. So Bruce
Oh,
is his
that's
name
good.
Seymour.
Yeah,
First
it's the
name
same Seymour Butts.
Seymour Butts.
Dr. Seymour Butts. Oh, that's funny.
So,
All right.
let's see.
Okay. So are we done with this book?
Well, I think, did we talk about how inflammation,
Well, if we were, let's see, I think we were,
inflammation and oxidation were the two biggest factors in determining whether or not you develop a life-threatening disease, and both of those are raised by chronic overexercise, basically. Did we say that?
Yeah.
Okay, I might have missed it. I was
Nope.
asleep for
Nope,
half.
but that's the final. That's the final.
That's it. All right.
Yep. All right. And he does recommend his fitness program at the end of the book. And so he does have another book called Live It, Not Diet.
And that's
where
his
he
program name
clever.
too.
Yeah. He says in this book, he introduces us to the 14 principles and progresses us through three phases until we're presented with the Live It, Not Diet lifestyle plan. So.
And the book is free on Kindle Unlimited. The sequel, so to speak, is on Kindle Unlimited. So if anybody is a member, you can check that out.
I'm a member.
Yep. I
And he
downloaded
said-
it already. Yeah.
He says we eat as much as we want, whenever we want, and never do cardio, all while maintaining a lean and healthy physique and a strong body and mind. So hopefully what they're eating is a meat-based diet and so it sounds good to me. I do need to continue to build up my muscle strength for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways,
It looks like he has also written 2 other books. So 3 counting that one, but Go With Your Gut, the 5-part plan for healing gastrointestinal issues and preventing the diseases that come with them. And then the other book is called 1% Fitness. Move better, train smarter, live longer, I guess. Yeah, live longer.
Yeah. Oh, you get fit doing 1%. I like that.
Can we bring in Rita's comment about talking about hunter-gatherers?
Let's see here. Oh, wait.
So, because he did actually address this in the book, and it was in one of these chapters that we just read. So she said, talking about hunter-gatherers, didn't they have to walk / chase their hunt animals for hours, even days? He addressed that in the book. The walking, yes, they did walk, but he actually said they didn't actually spend hours chasing an animal. The chasing part is what he focused on. He said they didn't like run for hours chasing one animal. They did walk and they did, do their hunting, and they got a lot of exercise. But I wanted to at least bring out the chasing part. He said no, they did not do a lot of chasing. Yes, and yes, gathering would require a lot of hours of walking. So
But
I don't
at
know
the
how
same time, walking wouldn't be considered a, like
high
over,
intensity.
high intensity exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really the high intensity of the exercise that he really says is what causes the problem, and is the spike, the prolonged cortisol, the free radical production by the mitochondria when you get out of the, get out of the anaerobic phase of the cycle. And yeah. And so, I mean, it's likely that they had these short bursts. They probably would come across an animal that was prey, and then they'd have this probably a short burst of exertion where they were catching the animal. And I don't know if they were spearing it, or whether they're trapping it, or whatever they were doing, but it
Well,
wasn't hours running.
and then also, a lot of times, the reason why the acid in our stomach is so great is because a lot of times we would get kind of the roadkill of the other,
Yep.
other animals that killed. We would take the remnants of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Mike says they should charge more for radicals. We'd have fewer of
They're
them.
free, Mike. They're free.
Unfortunately, they're free. So, when something's free, it gets to be in abundance, but
Yes.
then it's not worth much.
That's right.
All right. Basic economics. All right. So next week, we're starting this book. Good energy. Kim, you got to go to bed.
I'm so tired, guys.
He's
You work
tired.
12 hours.
I really thought this was a great idea until I'm like trying
I
to see.
can't see.
You're tired. Oh, you go to bed when we're done. My goodness. Well, and let's see. So for me, it's like 6:45 p.m. So it's almost 10, 9 and 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
for you
it's
guys.
almost 10
Yeah.
here, and
Yeah.
and I had a really challenging patient today.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, we'll start Good Energy. I've got the link for the Amazon link in my description for any of you who want to buy it. It comes really fast.
Okay.
Want to buy it and join, and then we're always open to anyone who wants to join us.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
This is an open book club. Get it? Open book. Never mind.
Open book.
She's getting loopy tired now.
I'll start getting giddy.
Coming up with the silly jokes.
No.
Yeah, but anyways, if you're reading the book and you want to join us, just let us know.
Yeah.
And leave a comment on one of our channels, and we can, and we'll have to post the link. We didn't post it this time, but we'll post the link if you want to join in. So,
yeah. Anytime anybody wants to join, if we forget to post it, just remind us, because
just let us know. So, all righty.
All right, guys, we'll see you. When will we see them?
We'll see them Thursday.
We're going to do our keto study club Thursday. Okay, remind me of the time. 4:30
Eastern.
Yeah, so it'll be 4:30 Central.
4:30 Central, 2:30 Pacific time.
Yeah.
So
we'll see y'all there, and I'll try to be awake, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Sounds good.
All right, bye, guys.
Everybody have a good week.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Yep, thanks for joining us.
See ya.